I'm going to wing this. Okay.
Welcome back, Sparklers, to another episode of Ignite Your Spark. I'm your host, Kim Duff Selby, coming to you every week with inspirational women. For you, inspirational women who might want to get your spark ignited, might need some motivation in life right now. I'm so excited with my new focus of the podcast for and about women in midlife and beyond. And today I am really honored to have with me a very well-known nutritionist, Kim Ross. I'll tell you a little bit about her. She does have a holistic, integrative approach to health, and I love this. She is well known for speaking to groups and organizations and has her own practice as well, where she sees one-on-one clients. And she received a BA from the University of Michigan and an MS from NYU, where she concentrated in clinical nutrition and dietetics. She also holds a certificate in holistic nutrition, which I love as well. And she completed a fellowship in herbal medicine and is a certified meditation teacher through the School of Positive Transformation. Thank you so much for joining me here today, Kim.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am thrilled. I did interview you when I first started my podcast, and I know my listeners and viewers have changed, and especially now that I've changed the focus to and for women. Before we begin, I don't know if you remember this, but I like to ask all my guests, how do you ignite your spark?
Wow. In many ways, and it really depends on the day. I listen to my body and see each day what will bring me joy. It could be something like taking a walk in Central Park. I live in Manhattan. It could be doing a special green drink that I make for myself. It could be making jewelry and doing meditations on it. It might be spending time with friends and family. I love what I do for work, so researching, but really having a positive attitude. I meditate every day. I try to be very positive and have a lot of gratitude in life.
I love that. Gratitude is so important. And wait a minute, you just said you make jewelry. You make jewelry too?
I do. We'll talk about that later. I'll show you all my holistic jewelry with my gemstones. I've studied the properties of the gemstones, and I make one piece at a time and have little batches of them as a side thing. So it's
I love that.
very therapeutic, and it's something that if anyone's artistic out there, it's something that gives back to you and you lose track of time.
And you meditate while you're doing it? You put a meditation into the gemstone?
On it. Like I'll use the gemstones that are calling my name. For example, it might be rose quartz to bring in more love. And I'll touch that and I'll work with pinks and tourmalines and other stones. And then I'll do a blessing about love on that piece for whoever may want it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I didn't know that. And this is fascinating. And I need to know if you have a website and all that. I'm all about high vibrational living. So I love the fact that you integrate your high vibrational food, nutrition with meditation and with jewelry making. That is something so powerful for people to know, that integrating all of these modalities into your life really ignite your spark, clearly.
Yes.
Now, you started with nutrition, right? I mean, you started as a nutritionist.
Well, I moved to New York to be in fashion. And I worked at a big firm, which you've all heard of, a big, huge fashion company for about a year or so, a little more. It wasn't my thing. I mean, I love beautiful things, but it wasn't going to be my calling. And then I was deciding if I should go back to medical school or business school. And I was having a tough time making a decision. I remember talking to my grandmother, who's no longer with us, and she was like, well, why don't you be a nutritionist? Because you can help and heal, but you don't have to, you can run your own business too. And I was also not sure I wanted to cut people open. And then if something happened, I don't know if I have the personality for that. So this ended up being a great happy medium for me. And once I went down that path, I'd always been interested in health and wellness, even when I was a kid, like everything related about that, reading about it, learning about it. So it fell into place.
Oh, it was a natural progression for you. And then I really love how you incorporated the holistic practices in it as well. So you learned more, you learned about nutrition. I know you keep learning about nutrition. But in what way did you integrate the holistic arena?
Well, when I went to grad school, it was very clinical. So we learned about vitamins and minerals and how to treat every illness, like a low sodium diet for high blood pressure or whatever it was at the time. And I did work at a hospital because I had to during my internship. And I realized that there's so much more. And so I went around the country and studied with practitioners and went to conferences and read everything I could. And, I just ate it all up because I truly believe that not as in touch with nature as we are meant to be, and that the plant world around us and holistic, which is whole healing with the earth and what we put, whether it's herbs and spices or foods or nature and plants, is supposed to, supposed to be how we're living. Nothing wrong with taking a supplement if you need to, or even a medication, or, once in a while if you're traveling and you need to buy some sort of a packaged product, that's fine. But in general, I think we need to connect more. So I found that being able to heal your body from the inside out, like Hippocrates said, is very important.
Yeah, food is medicine, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's so important. And you also, then when did you go back and decide to incorporate meditation? And I don't know if you use that with your clients as well, or just as in a personal practice. I think you teach, don't you teach
Yes, I
meditation?
do. I taught it last night for a Korean TV show, believe it or not, a Korean station. Anyway, I started doing yoga in my mid-20s, practicing yoga. And at that time, my teacher was also a huge meditation teacher and wonderful practice. So a half hour of our class would be meditations with a lot of visualizations. And I started not even knowing what I was doing then. And then I just started doing it all the time in class or out of class. And it became part of my life. And then I started learning about it and going to retreats and different types of meditation and combining them in my own practice. And then I thought, every year I try to take a class or learn something new. So then I decided, you know what, I'm doing it every day. And I'm realizing I'm helping people with mindful eating, being in the present moment, and also dealing with other things that come up when nutrition comes up, like stress, anxiety, sleep, hormones, whatever. And so I decided to, in the past few years, just get my certification and go through a course to learn more about it, even though I do think it's a little, not esoteric, but it's a little hard to quantify something like that because it's individual. But it's helped me stay centered through the ups and downs of life. It
Yeah.
not necessarily even about food or anything like that. I just mean in life with
Oh,
real life situations.
yeah, I think what you embody and what you teach are things that I sort of aspire to
Huh.
live that holistic life. I wish I knew more about nutrition. I'm learning. And I also, okay, I'm going to say I meditate, but I try. My meditation is a little different because I find myself, and I don't want to say praying because I'm not a religious person, but I'm talking and being grateful in my head, of course. And then I try really hard not to think about anything for a few minutes of that. But it is a challenge for someone such as myself. And it's a challenge for many people because we don't want to be alone with our thoughts. I get
And
that.
even a prayer and gratitude, in my opinion, is a form of meditation. When you're in the moment and you're focusing on something like that, you're bettering yourself and you are increasing your vibrational energy and you are imagining and manifesting what it is that you believe in and what you want.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yes, I meditate every day then, many times, especially in the middle of the night when I can't sleep. Another big issue. I don't know if there are foods that can assist with sleep. I mean, you hear turkey, tryptophan, or whatever it is. And I know a lot of people, a lot of women over a certain age have issues, have a challenging time sleeping. And is that hormones? Or I know my case is my brain does not stop. So if I
Mhm.
wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like on to the next thing. I should be like la 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 la.
Mhm.
What are your suggestions for sleep holistically, nutritionally,
Sure.
perhaps?
There are many, many things, and there's a whole, I call it like a mental toolbox of and a physical toolbox of what you can put in your toolbox to help with sleep. First thing is, if you are a caffeine drinker, it has a half-life of about 6 hours. So I would stop caffeine about 6 to 7 hours before you want to fall asleep. And that's number one. And number two is taking in things in your life that will calm you in the starting in the afternoon through eating. So, for example, if you have a steak dinner, those are stimulating foods. Although you might feel very full, or a big heavy meal can sit in your stomach and make you feel full, maybe make you feel tired. But some people are better off having like carbohydrates in the evening because it can be more calming for people. For example, if you were going to be working at your desk and you wanted to focus, that might be a great time for something like a salad, which is low carb with some salmon on it. But then in the evening, you might want to have like a brown rice stir fry or something with more carbs, which is more calming. Also, I'm a big fan of herbal teas. For another source of hydration. Some people get bored with water or they just don't drink enough, but also the micronutrients and the plant properties the healing properties in teas. So there are various teas that helps with sleep, and one is lemon balm. Most people know about chamomile. There's valerian and kava kava. These are herbs that you can take in a tincture. And again, you'd want to talk to your healthcare provider before starting any plan in case you're on a medication and there's contraindication. And there's also L-theanine, which is found, it's an amino acid, very calming, which is found in green tea, but only if you were to drink the decaf green tea, because otherwise you'd have the caffeine from the tea. Also, you can take that, that's in supplements as well, and in gummies and all kinds of things now. So the L-theanine, and we want to regulate with our circadian rhythm the melatonin. So I'm not saying to take melatonin. I mean, if you choose to do so, that's fine under guidance, but making sure that the lights are dim, starting like maybe even 7, 8 o'clock. Not that you have to be in darkness, but not too many gadgets and blue light and that kind of thing, like calming the lighting down and getting a lot of light early in the day so you can regulate what your eyes are seeing, and that regulates hormones. So I think it also depends why you're not sleeping. Like, is it hormones and then addressing that issue? Is it anxiety, addressing that issue? Is it temperature? It could be so many different things. So I'm also a fan when it comes to sleep, because sleep is so crucial for cleaning out the toxins in the body, to have some aids nearby if one needs it. So that is an area where I feel like if someone does need to take an herbal supplement, that would be a good place. But my routine is, when I'm feeling anxious or like you, my mind is racing, I may do a tea infusion, adding some lavender. It's lavender chamomile tea that's a combination, and then adding some lemongrass or some lemon balm in there. And then there may be some other things that some other teas that I might mix in too. And so that is a very calming, steeping it for about 10 to 20 minutes and then squeezing in the excess that's in the bag. So it's very strong. Funny story. I was at a meditation retreat and they had all these nice teas out, and I did a lavender Tulsi. Tulsi is actually an adaptogenic tea, very popular in certain cultures, and it's holy basil. And it's like it's supposed to put you in a good mood and be very calming as well. So I did this lavender Tulsi. It was so delicious. And then I went to sleep. And then I woke up in the morning. We were supposed to be up at like 6 for meditation, meditate all day. And I was, oh, this is so delicious. And I drank the rest of the cup, which is about a half a cup. And I fell asleep in meditation class. I would not keep my eyes open.
Now, was
So,
this a specific tea that actually was lavender and lemon balm together?
no, this was the lavender Tulsi. This just
Well,
happened.
you
I
could buy
remember.
lavender Tulsi tea. I've
Yeah.
never seen that because I have Tulsi tea,
Mhm.
traditional
I
medicines.
don't even remember what brand this one was. It was years ago. But lavender, again, you wouldn't ingest lavender oil, but in a
No.
tea, in moderation, if you're having difficulty sleeping at night, and if, there's issues with, if you were to take other herbal teas with, hormones and estrogen, but for purposes of the conversation, I think it's a great option.
Yeah, I drink peppermint tea at night just because I love the digestive. I'm loving that. I try to drink it, finish dinner by 7. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm in bed by 9. No problem. Well, because I want to get enough sleep. And sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night.
Mhm,
Generally, falling asleep is fine for me. It's when I wake up that
mhm.
the mind starts going. But that's me, everybody.
That's a great time for a mantra.
Oh, a mantra. Yeah. Okay. I
Mhm.
like that.
You can go online and find a whole bunch of Sanskrit mantras and just find one that resonates with you or that translates to a message that you think would benefit.
Okay, good. I've learned a lot of things.
Great.
Absolutely. There's one question too that I know I have not completely stopped drinking alcohol, but I don't drink it. Oh, maybe once a month I'll have a glass of Prosecco or something. I found it was bothering me. And, I was never a heavy drinker ever in my entire life, even in college when people were partying, just wasn't me. What are your thoughts on alcohol? So many people are just stopping, which I think is great, actually, because I know it's a toxin, and you see so many great new products out there, alcohol-free wine, if you want that kind of a substitute just for something else to drink.
Mhm.
I had one, it was terrible, but I'd rather just drink sparkling water. What are your thoughts on alcohol? And
They have changed the experts have changed their tune, where they used to say like 1 to 2 classes a day are fine, 1 for women, 2 for men, but they have changed their tune. And we do know that it is a neurotoxin. It does kill brain cells. And it is very, very acidic, where we all run too acidic as it is, most of us. And it is also dehydrating, and it's a diuretic, and it can wreak havoc with our hormones. So especially in midlife and change of life, when people are either going through menopause or perimenopause or already in menopause and they're having hot flashes, I found that there's a huge population that is really, it's exacerbating the symptoms. It also destabilizes blood sugar. So people may have a couple glasses of wine, fall asleep just fine, wake up, like you said, at 3 in the morning, cannot go back to sleep. And that's because it can put you, even though it has some sugar in it actually can put you in a hypoglycemic state. So although it's considered a depressant, it can almost have a stimulatory effect 4 hours later. So there's to be, and this may be bad news for some people, but there's really no amount of alcohol that is beneficial. I wouldn't, yes, there's resveratrol in red wine, but the amount you're going to get is so minimal that you're better off eating fruits and vegetables. So I would say, if you enjoy the occasional glass of something in moderation once in a while, like you said, that's totally fine. But there are many people who drink this every day, every other day, and they're having 1 to 2 glasses, if not more, if not a bottle. So that really will, there's a correlation with stroke, with blood pressure, with depression, with so many cancers, so many negative elements. So I would say it's best if someone could try to wean off that or drink in moderation.
Yeah, thank you. Because I feel that way and I don't want to be a Pollyanna. I thank goodness that in this lifetime I had no addictive, issues, because I know that it is a real problem.
Yeah.
Well, I do love a good corn chip. So that would be my addiction of choice. And I'm very careful about that. I also know, I believe that it is important, talking about high vibrational eating, to give thanks. And I'm not talking about to sit down at a table and hold hands, but if that's your practice, great, and give thanks. But I try to remember, and I don't do this every time, but to give thanks for the food on my plate, and to give thanks for the workers who picked the food on my plate, and to give thanks for the soil. Now, I want to say I do it at every meal, and I forget sometimes. But what are your thoughts on that?
That is so beautiful. And it's so nice to hear that you do that. And when I'm doing one of my lectures, it's about mindful eating. It's a wonderful practice when the plate arrives in front of you, whether you're preparing it or someone else has prepared it, hopefully with love, or you're at a restaurant even, um, thinking of all of the people that went into creating that for you, like the person who found the seed, who grew the seed, who tended to the earth, who picked that, who helped it grow, who picked it, who brought it to the grocery store, the transportation people, and then put it on the shelf, and then you buy it, or someone who's prepared the beautiful meal for you. And even if it is a packaged processed food, there's still a lot that went into that. And I think that you've raised the vibrational level of whatever food it is. If it's chocolate cake or if it's an apple from the tree, you've raised that vibrational level. If people could do that more, and then really being mindful when you eat, is chewing and appreciating and letting the digestion begin in the mouth.
Yeah, mindful eating, that is key. I've read a lot of different things. As I've said, I'm really fascinated by nutrition. And one of the other things that now it went out of my head. Okay, I don't know where that went, but maybe it'll come back. Talk a little bit about supplements. And I know that we all need different supplements. And I do think it is important to see someone to assist you. How do you determine what supplements you need? Like, I know we could talk to a nutritionist, but through blood work, or what is the best way to do that? Are you a believer in certain supplements, or do you think we take too many?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I actually specialize in the VMS sector, the vitamin mineral sector, for one of my avenues of work, because I have dealt with a lot of illnesses with patients over the years. Listen, in our perfect world, we wouldn't need or take any medications or supplements because we would get everything we need through the diet. But for example, I live in Manhattan. I don't have an organic garden that I'm, fertilizing with fresh, chicken dung, all these different things. So, we have to live in the real world, and there are holes. So I think that supplements have a place. It's not for everyone. And you have to very much be careful with what medications you're on and the contraindications of that. But I love working with supplements, especially after I did the fellowship in herbal medicine, really moving more towards herbs, because there's a synergistic effect of the natural property of all of the elements in an herb, which is just crushed, let's say, and put in a tincture or in a capsule, as opposed to an isolated nutrient that they're pulling out of one thing. Like I would recommend, for example, for most people to eat the turmeric and eat a dish with curry rather than, or do a turmeric ginger tea rather than taking a curcumin supplement, which one is the active ingredients of that, because you get so many more beautiful antioxidants from eating the whole root, not eating the root raw, but you know what I mean, cooking it or doing the powder. So, but yes, I think there's a place, and you can find out what you need through working with someone like myself that's, looks at blood tests, looks at your dosha through Ayurvedic medicine. I have people fill out quizzes, they do a food diary, and we do a long in-depth interview about your history and what's going on with you. And after doing this a while, I kind of know where someone's little hole might be, where they could use a little something. And the goal is to use something temporarily and see if you can then fill in the gap, glue in the hole, and then maybe change your diet a little bit, or adding certain, like, let's say, pomegranate powder to your smoothie or whatnot, or a little barley grass juice powder to get in whatever you might need in that way. So, for bone health, I know that was something you were
Yes.
interested in, and I'll just segue into that because it's relevant here. I really don't recommend taking something like a pure isolated calcium supplement, because that has been shown to have some negative effects for the heart and can get stored in soft tissue as well. But maybe doing something like a horsetail tea,
Hmm.
uh, or doing something like an oat straw tea. I meant oat straw, not horsetail, and even nettles tea, and doing medicinal teas that have a lot of natural calcium, and getting some of that calcium through some juicing and alkalizing the body. Even though lemons are acidic, they leave an alkaline ash. So having a lemon, cleaning out that liver, and then leaving a little, if you have a more alkaline system, that's really great too. So the acidity and the sugar is what leaches our calcium. So it's not so much that we have to load up on, for example, calcium supplements. It's lay off the alcohol, lay off the sugar, lay off too much meat and white processed grains, and you will have adequate calcium if you're eating all the fruits and vegetables and leafy greens in your diet.
Yeah. What about, I was diagnosed with osteopenia and osteoarthritis. And so she said, you absolutely have to take, so I take this Bone Up by
Mhm.
Jarrow. I don't know if it's pure calcium or not. I just started this year, and that's late to start calcium, you know.
There's no bad time, but I mean, I like that. I would have to look at the exact ingredients in that product, and I am familiar with Jarrow, but you want it to be synergistic with vitamin D, with copper, with magnesium, with vitamin K, with a whole host of other nutrients that it works synergistically. And the quality control and the bioavailability, how we're metabolizing that supplement, what we're taking that supplement with, what kind of liquid, and
Mm,
what else we've eaten in that couple hours is all relevant. So it gets a little tricky. You do your best, and then hopefully you could talk to a healthcare professional, find out exactly what you should be doing. And I think, you're doing your best. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying, and I know everybody out there is trying, and we all have our downfall moments. Do you eat any sugar? I mean, is sugar just
sure,
totally off
if
the
it's if
table?
it's if I'm out and we're celebrating someone's birthday, or if it's a special occasion and there's a molten chocolate cake, I'm not a cake person, but you know what I mean,
I
something
do.
chocolatey. Will I take some bites? Sure. I'm not going to sit and eat a whole dessert myself, because I find that I don't need it. I also keep dark chocolate in the house, about 80%, 90% of organic dark chocolate. And if I want something, I'll eat that, or I'll eat a little bit of raisins, or I'll have them together. And that, I have no problem with that. I think that there are some benefits to that as well. And if it makes you happy to eat a little bit of sugar, whereas like chocolate has some health properties or something like that, or you know what? It's once a year and you're off to the beach, and everybody's having ice cream, and that once a year you want to enjoy, or a few times a year, it doesn't even, that's fine. As long as it's not like multiple times a week, I think everything in moderation is fine.
Yeah, thank you.
And
I
eating fruit to fill in the gaps, and some other naturally sweet foods like brown rice, sweet potato, roasted onions and carrots, things like that.
Well, I have found, I read a study from Harvard and Penn about how eating 6 prunes a day can actually help
With bone health.
regenerate your bones, right? Have you heard that?
Yes, prunes are great, but onions are even better.
Oh,
Onions
I
have been
cook with
shown to
onions.
be amazing for bone health.
Good.
Mhm.
Cooking's okay. You don't have to sit down and chomp on a raw one.
Right, right. That's
Well,
okay.
I will tell you that if I feel like something sweet, I used to get cookies. They were gluten-free, organic, and not made with a lot, but I would buy them Siete brand, loved them. And I just decided, because my husband has a sweet tooth, I'm like, nope, not having anything in the house. So I will have a prune dipped in almond butter.
That's great. Or even figs and dates in moderation, because yes, it has sugar, but you're not someone that has to watch your weight. And if your blood sugar levels are fine, you're going to get the iron, you're going to get calcium, you're going to get so many nutrients from that.
Oh, we should all have a nutritionist in our back pocket, like we have our OBGYN or like we have our PCP. And it's really a shame. And don't get me started on the healthcare industry, but that, because and you are valuable. You deserve all of what you charge. I just wish that our country would give us something. Yeah, because I think
doctors I think it's something like, I could be wrong now, but it used to be like 4 hours of nutrition in their 4 years.
it's crazy. I mean, I think nutrition, if we saw someone like you, we would not need to see all those other people, I believe.
But you know what? I don't want to discourage people from enjoying life. I think that you've got to balance your life, and everything in moderation is really a great motto. And like, if you like a chip or a popcorn or whatever someone's little treat is, if you're eating about 9 servings of high quality rainbow color organic fruits and vegetables a day, you're going to cover the bases for preventing disease. And if it's something that you need a treat and it's, let's say, a chocolate dessert, but you add, let's say, some raspberries with it or blueberries, you're going to combat some of that damage because of the antioxidants and the fiber and some of the benefits and the phytochemicals and the polyphenols and all that stuff. So that's a little trick, like cinnamon to the coffee there. I love to work with tricks because you got to live your life.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Kim, thank you so much for your valuable information today. I have so many more questions. I can't wait to work with you. At some point, I'm definitely going to, because I want to know what to put in my body, especially in this third act, to live the vibrant life that I choose to live.
Well,
Kim,
it seems like you're doing an amazing job. And thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I am, excuse me, thrilled. Tell me where people can find you. I'll put in the show notes, of course.
Sure. They can find me at kimrossnutrition.com or on Instagram at kimrossnutrition, or LinkedIn for that matter.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Well, this episode will be pushed to all those different areas so that everyone can hear it and learn your valuable tips and tricks. I am so grateful for your time today. I really am.
It was lovely to see you.
Yeah, you too. And thank you all for tuning in. If you loved this information you got today and you were inspired, I do hope that you will share this with others, because everybody needs a little nutrition to ignite their spark and to learn more. There's so much more we can learn. And one of the things Kim said is she tries to take a class every single year so that she's learning something that's going to keep us young and vital, along with eating all of our berries and nutritious foods from the ground. So I wish you all a high vibrational, sparkly day. And thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Kim.